And you can change with this. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Michael. And thank you, Aline, for that marvelous presentation. So I'm here from GRI, and I'm very happy. We've been here, as you said, since Global Sustain started its form. So we're very happy to be here again. And I was asked to hold a presentation to give a little bit of information about what is happening with the GRI standards. So what is the recent updates? I will also tell you a little bit about GRI's alignment with other framework and the Better Alignment project. Also quite interesting because the results from the first year of the project came out last week. So I will share with you some updates from that. Yes, close it, sorry. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Perfect, yes. And then finally I will talk a little bit about GRI's plans for digitalizing sustainability, and that there will be time for some questions at the end, but feel free if you have any questions also to interrupt me in the meantime. So just to give you a short overview, I don't know if any of you are familiar with GRI. Are there any reporters among the audience?
Raise your hands, reporters of GRI in the room.
Great. So I will not bore you with the overall overview here, but I will tell you a little bit about how we started in 1997, and we started up with 5 employees, and now we are about 170 employees around the world. And we working basically, we are a sustainability framework, so we are offering the standards, as some of you might know. So we are providing for reporting organizations a framework to report on their economic, social and environmental impacts. And also we are very happy to see how this has developed since 1997. We started up with very few companies, only very large companies that were using the standards, and now we are really seeing that it's going towards becoming a more mainstream activity, also among small and medium-sized enterprises. And yeah, we are also working closely with governments, with investors, also to get a better grasp of what sort of information is needed out there. And we are also collaborating with organizations to gather feedback, to better understand how we can improve as well. Because we experience, especially from reporters that are just starting to report, that it can be very detailed and very difficult also to understand the terms and exactly what are we asking them to provide. So we are also trying frequently to update the standards in what is needed from the organization side as well. So I was asked to share a little bit of information about our current status, so what's being changed recently and what is the plans of GRI in the coming years. And as some of you might know, we changed from the G4 guidelines to the GRI standards last year. We transit to the GRI standards. The information we are requesting has not dramatically changed, but the framework itself, how it looks like, and also the structure of the standards so are looking quite different from the G4 guidelines. And one of the key changes is that we have now a modular structure which makes it much more easier to update the standards and to make them align with the new developments and also with the key instruments and other frameworks out there. So just quickly a little bit about how the standards are developed. So we have a separate board which is called the GSSB Sustainability Standard Boards, which is a multi-stakeholder group made up by sustainability experts from companies, from investors, and they are working closely together with GRI Standards Division team, which is a technical team of experts. Normally it takes about 2 years since from coming up with potential new standards until it's launched. So it's a 7-step process that I will show you a little bit later how it looks like. I will just go into the standard which was most recently updated, which is the GRI 303 water and effluent standards. I will not provide detail on how it looks like now, but basically what has been changed is the content of the standards. So what sort of information are we asking companies to provide? It's a more detailed and holistic approach than what was previously defined in the water standard. We're looking more into water-stressed areas, and also we ask companies to provide much more detail about their overall impact on the human and ecological impact in water-stressed areas. And also simultaneously last year, 4.3 occupational health and safety was updated as well. And this has been updating aligned also with other frameworks such as the ILO and ISO. And it's focusing more on a holistic approach to what we consider workers. That's one of the key changes. So we are not only asking companies to provide information about their direct employees, but also about the employees in the supply chain and also how they are indirectly impacting employees. And as well, another key change has to do with how we are actually looking at workers. We are not only looking at work-related injuries, like occupational injuries, but we're also looking more at the mental health side. So we are trying to, together with that, come up with a methodology and also how to actually estimate whether or not injuries work-related or not. So those were the two most recent standards. And as you can see here on the left side, it's the 7-phase process that GRI is going through every time a new standard is being added. And this takes normally 2 years, and there is always at least one open public feedback period. So it also allows the wider reporting community to give feedback before the final standard will be drafted and launched. And as you can see on the right side, there is the overview of the upcoming standards. So we will have now in December already. 2 weeks ago, we got the final standard approved, and it will be released in December 2019, so in a few months. And then closely followed will be the waste standards. The new waste standard will be updated. It's currently being finished now, the project, and be ready in the first quarter of 2020. And then upcoming we have human rights and universal standards that will be launched in the second quarter of 2021. So you can also read more if you want to know more about the steps being made and also about the open public period. You can closely follow our website and also the newsletter where everything will be informed in there. So alongside updating the standard, we also quite importantly started, also based on the information we got from our stakeholders, that there was the need for sector guidance. So we're also trying to make sector-specific standards. You can also see here the 4 ones that are being planned now. First is the oil, gas and coal sector. And we are in the second phase of the project, meaning that we will have an open public feedback period early next year. And how we came to these 4 different sectors is based on the overall impact they have along the 3 sides of sustainability, so the economic, social and environmental impacts. And also the literature available, the strength of the literature available for the impact, and the total amount of GRI reports that are prepared for the different sectors. So then I will move on to talk a little bit about the GRI alignment with other frameworks. So how are we positioning ourselves? How are we actually collaborating with other reporting frameworks out there? Because we know that it's been many questions from reporting organizations about which framework to choose. There's a big reporting burden out there. We know that the information request from a wide stakeholder group is being asked. So we're always trying to work closely with others also to align the GRI standards to cover other frameworks. So based on that, we have been doing this for many years already, but we also quite recently joined the Alignment project, which was launched last year. But first a little bit about the linkage documents we have, because you're able, when you are reporting with GRI, to also see how you can use the GRI standards to also cover the frameworks to other reporting frameworks. And one of the longest lasting collaboration we had with the UN Global Compact, which was started in 2010. And from that collaboration, we came out also with a linkage document. So you were able to see in a straightforward way how you can link the GRI standards to also cover the information asked in the UNGC 10 principles. And also quite more recently, in 2017, we also started the action platform of reporting on the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And this consists of 2 different groups. So one is the multi-advisory stakeholder group and the corporate action group. So the corporate action group is companies, so reporting organizations. They have a group of meeting like every 3-4 months. They try to come up together with a reporting-like documents to help people better understand how they can include SDGs in their reporting cycle. Among other things, they're trying to better understand how to prioritize on the SDGs, how to measure the impact on the SDGs, and also how to analyze the results, and also trying to come up with a guidance for their wider reporting organizations as well, to help to try to create a more uniform way of including the SDGs. And the multi-advisory committee consists of governments, international organizations, there are some investors, and they're also considering the work done by the Corporate Action Group to form guidance also to governments to report on their impact and their plans for SDGs reporting. So here you can see overview. We had 3 reports that were launched last year, and it's what the group have come up with so far. It's like some sort of guidance that are asking also other companies to report in a uniform way on the SDGs. So the first one gives an overview over the 17 goals and the targets, and also gives some indicators on how you can actually report on the SDGs. The second one, a practical guide, gives a step-to-step instruction, so how you can also include this reporting in your reporting cycle. And the third guide, looking at the investor's perspective. So what sort of information are investors looking for, and also how you can report in line with investors' expectations. So we also have 2 other organizations that we have been working closely with. Is the CDP, the Climate Disclosure Project, and similar to the UNGC, there is a linkage document, so how you can link the GRI standard to the CDP climate questionnaire. And then also GRI and IRSC, which also have a linkage document, as well as a working group back in 2017 that trying to form some guidance for companies on how to actually start forging a path towards integrated reporting. So to give some guidance on how the standards could be used as a starting point for integrated reporting. And then finally, the Better Alignment project. As I mentioned initially, the results from the first year came up last week, so I will share those with you. First, a little bit about how we came to the Better Alignment project. It's initiated by the Reporting Dialogue, which is a platform from the IRC, sorry. And it consists of 5 reporting organizations, and altogether what they're trying to do is to align their frameworks to make it easier for organizations to report with all of them using one of the frameworks, to try to cover each other's indicator. They're trying to also make more harmonization in the reporting among the reporting organizations, and to better make reports more comparable, concise, and to make it more efficient for reporting organizations. So you can see here below, you can see which are the reporting frameworks, reporting organizations involved in the project. It started up in November 2018. And it's also trying to see, how do they align, how do they overlap, what are the differences between the different standards and the principles set forward, and also what they can do in order to align, to ensure better alignment among the reporting frameworks. So the report came out last week Tuesday, and we was focused on climate-related reporting. This was also based on the feedback from the stakeholders on where we wanted to start, so what was the most crucial starting point for the group. It's a 30-page document, and then an overview over how the different frameworks are aligning with each other. It's a technical mapping done by the group, so it's like in-depth information about how the different indicators align. It also contains an overview over some frequently asked questions that we get, that the different reporting frameworks get from their users, and answer to those. And then it shows the technical mapping, so how well aligned are the different frameworks with the Task Force for Climate Financial Reporting Framework, and the disclosures and principles set forward there. So as you can see here on the slide, there is more alignment that were initially assumed there will be. You find that there is 80% of the TCFD's 50 illustrated metrics that are fully or reasonably covered by the 3 biggest reporting organizations, so the CDP, GRI, and SASP indicators. And there is also high alignment between, so 70% of the TCFD metrics are showing a relatively good alignment with the indicators. And there, if you're more interested to know about how this technical mapping was done, and also about the findings, the key findings of the Better Alignment project for the first year, you're also invited to join the webinar next week that will be held on Thursday. So finally, a little bit about digitalizing sustainability, which is also aligned with the Better Alignment project. It's also trying to reach the overall aim of making reporting more efficient, making data more accessible, and also to make sure that we are better able to compare between the reporting organizations the data put forward. As most of you might know, there is, when you're looking at sustainability reports, those are normally text-heavy documents in PDF format. So we're also trying to see more how you can make data more accessible and also more comparable in trying to find direct answers to the questions you're looking for. So to try to find the exact data point you're looking for more efficiently. So based on that, GRI came up with two different initiatives. One was the digital reporting tool, which was launched last July. And it's a basic version of it. Still, we're seeing what we can do with the tool in order to see how we can develop it, improve it, based on the feedback we got from the users. And basically what it's doing is trying to make organizations to input the data, disclosure per disclosure. And then this will make it also easier for companies to have a more historical data accessible, and also for the data users to be better able to analyze the data and to compare between organizations. And as well, we have a corporate leadership group on digital reporting that was started at the same time. I started half a year before, in 2017. And this also is a group that are giving some input to GRI on how to further develop a strategy on digital reporting. Because also for us, we have to have better knowledge on what are the challenges that organizations are struggling with. Is it due to the data collection, the data management? Are there enough softwares out there that they can use efficiently? So the group is gathering feedback to GRI and also are exploring what softwares are available for digital reporting. And the overall outcome will be a publication that is also trying to provide some and overall the findings of the group, and also some input on how to move forward in terms of digital reporting. So I think that was what I had.
Thank you. Well, Kristin, there is one specific question for you through the system. It says, Kristin, can you make our business life easier? So well, I guess... yeah.
Thank you for that question. Yeah. We're trying. We're trying. We are aware that there is... we got feedback from the GRI framework. It's very detailed. The terminology, the definitions can be easily be misinterpreted. We are always trying, and that's also how we are evolved from. We started with the G1 guidelines, and then we evolved to the G2, then to the G4 and GRI standards, and everything is based on the feedback we have received. Like, okay, what are the issues? Like, what is not working? What is being misunderstood? So we are trying to form more clarity and also more better guidance on companies on how they more efficiently can use the GRI standards, and also in terms of what information request is out there. So what sort of information are investors looking for instance. So we're always trying to align the framework and the GRI updates, the standards update as well with that. So we are aware that it is it can be detailed, it can be difficult, especially for first-time reporters, but it's always a learning curve, it's a learning process. So I think eventually it will become clearer also for non-experienced reporters.
One more question. Are you going to deliver more indicators for TCFD alignment?
Not at this moment, no. But if you're looking at the Better Alignment project, you can clearly see which of the GRI indicators you can use for the TCFD disclosures and principles and metrics out there. So it's a straightforward link to it. So
I guess the question was before, because there's no complete alignment. There's a 70%.
Yeah, there is no complete. You're rating it on 5 different criteria. So it's fully, reasonable, moderate, or little or non-alignment. So I think they came out with the oral conclusion where like between 70 and 80% alignment between with CDP, SASB, GRI, and TCFD.
Okay. Any other question from any GRI reporter in the room? Kristin is going to be here all day, so if you want to ask her any additional questions, feel free to do so during the breaks. Okay, yeah, using the conference system, yeah.